Good afternoon and happy Saturday, happy holiday. This is Harper. I come to let you know and tell you what they're saying to you, the descendants of slavery. What they're saying to you in the power source and the mainstream media, which is the power source. We all know who the power source is. The power source, the descendants of slave traders, the people that have accessed the wealth of our nation, the power source who denies oppressed people, the slave descendants. So what they're telling you is that basically, if you don't care anything about yourself in terms of a community, a unit, then we don't have to care about you either. We don't have to care about you either. If you don't care anything about your own group, that's basically what they've been saying, and they've also said it to black icons that were civil rights leaders before. There's a guy in California, Ted Hayes. He experienced something of that nature, and he talked about it a little bit about them letting him know, man, look, y'all don't care about yourself. We're not supposed to care about you. I mean, there's nothing we can do because he got a chance. Ted Hayes got a chance to get to the round table of discussion out in California, and that's even back years ago, right after Dr. King and so forth, trying to advocate for black people, the slave descendants, to be on an equal playing field in terms of government and in the law, and be valued as a group, be valued as a unit politically inside cities and certain jurisdictions and so forth. And they will do it, but they're not going to do it if there's not anybody there. There's not a number. They're not going to do it if you're not asking for it, if you're not showing how important we are. And this is what ADOS is doing. This is what the New Voices of Black Media is doing, the Foundation of Black Americans. However, there's another set of us that's been divided. And we also got different ideologies trying to locate and find our blackness throughout and struggle in abused group, a group that's been divided and injected, infused into other departments, that's been told and pushed back from a normalization of development. We haven't been normalized as a developing unit inside the first world, inside our nation. We haven't been normalized in that place. Everybody else has. And some people came here after we were here, after we did the work, the hard work. We laid out the country and its foundation, blood sacrifice, hard work, free labor, bones and guts of this compound. So we laid it out, and other people came, and they have accessed that which we've never been normalized to: the wealth of this nation, the business camaraderie of it, and the political incentives being protected. And those are the things that Dr. King were fighting for, and civil rights leaders. And those are the things that Lincoln put into the Constitution, were able to implement into the Constitution. First class citizenship, 40 acres and a mule. That's a lot. That's a plenty for a family. That way, if they have something inside the society, the nation, they can exchange among wealth, and they will have something to call their own. That's being on an equal playing field. That's normalizing a people to be inside the camaraderie of community and business. You give them something. They can build, they can choose. That never happened for us, for the descendants of slaves. That never happened. So now we have a division. We have people who look for their blackness in different types of religion. So therefore, that keeps us divided. We have the insertion of drugs that happened to us. That kept us divided. All of this stuff is a exploitation of a people who did never get what they were supposed to get. And they were not unequal. It was like somebody taking candy from a child, basically. When you let loose slaves, and people say they're not political, but politically, again, you were a slave, and politically you were set free. So how do you don't do politics? They do you. So I can't stand when people say they don't do politics. There's no way you don't do politics and you live in America. You live under a political. There's no way you don't do politics and you live under a political umbrella. You may not want to do politics, but at some point you are a participant. Whether you're downtrodden, whether you're unastute, or whether you are astute, you are yet still in exchange in a political arena under a political umbrella. This is your life. This is how you exist, and there's nothing wrong with that. But everybody else knows it. They know that they exist this way. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's rules. There's hierarchy in almost every aspect of your life. That's the normalization of mankind. If I come into the doctor and the doctor is telling me about my health and he has an expertise and he's a specialist, then he's the hierarchy of that event, of that exchange. He's the hierarchy of that exchange. He understands it. And maybe he has something he has to go to. Like in terms of the law, the lawyer, they can argue in court. The judge has to make a ruling. He's hierarchy. Just like God, he's hierarchy. So what are your parents to you when you're children? Hierarchy. Even when you're adults, a lot of times, most of the time, they're still hierarchy. They're to be respected in terms of their life legacy as your parent. The community has hierarchy, elders in the community. So there's no way from hierarchy, it exists all the way around. We have hierarchy over wildlife. We can kind of conduct it and control it. That's why we have zoos, and that's why we can detain and we can domesticate certain animals. So this is why I'm just breaking it down to you so that you won't feel like you're in prison because I said you were on the political arena, for those who don't understand. So in the government, the political arena and the laws are higher than you in your ideas solely. So there, in terms of a group, you have a voice. Everyone else knows that that's where it's designed. So we, as the descendants of slaves, have been divided. And what they're telling us is that if you don't care about yourself, we don't have to care about you. Now, we are making traction here where we can pull people in and we can get them to understand this is very powerful and this is something that's a reality and it's very prestigious and honorable that we are fighting for and that we are looking forward to correction due to the government and its incentives, due to political opportunities, or due to what crime has been committed concerning us politically by the government. Also, in terms of who we are in the government have not been necessarily rectified. Because if it has, we would have our inheritance and we would be corrected like that. Because other groups, they have an inheritance who have been harmed by a power source historically. The Indians, they get certain incentives. The slave descendants don't get. The Jews, and so forth. The Japanese that were in concentration camps. Even people who are coming here illegally, they have incentives. They have sanctuary cities. They can use people's Social Security number and it not be dealt with like a federal crime. Because of their group, they have a certain incentive. Because people respect the idea of their struggle. So they give them something. In our nation, politically, as a law, they have written things in law for these people. That's like a reparations. The banks have given them extra loans. You see, we are in this country watching other people get the things that we're actually calling for. But the reason why we can't do it necessarily the way in the time manner that I think we should is because we got black people out there who's bought and sold, and this is the ones I'm talking about, who don't care about themselves. And they're telling you, the ones who are bought and sold, they're telling you, if y'all don't care about y'all people, we don't have to either. So the ones who have a voice that's able to be in the public media, in the mainstream media, are downtrodden Negroes. They're talking about, well, we don't really need a check. Speak for yourself. You won't be speaking for me. Well, we're going to sink that battleship. I'm just giving them the synopsis of what really is going on, and that I want to sharpen and just kind of be here for the talk. But we're going to sink that battleship. You won't get to say that because we will denounce you, and we're going to continue to denounce you. You need to get out of the way if you don't have a real talking point in terms of the importance of my ancestors, my grandparents, and how I exist under a captivity of economic slavery, economic bounds, and bounds in our terms of opportunity due to the fact that there have been a political failure in terms of my group, and I don't have what was owed and due to me as a constitutional right. And I have other people enjoying my constitutional right and my constitutional incentive, which is the 14th Amendment and 15th Amendment. This is something that we're going to continue to talk about, and we will get into a dialogue and an expression to create a dynamic. And you won't get to keep on with those talking points saying we just need to give black colleges a certain amount of money. That dog not going to hunt. But I'm letting black folks know who come to my channel and anybody else know that this is what they're doing. And they're telling other black people who have voices out there that if you don't care about your own people, we don't have to. That's what they're telling them. And they're also telling them, go out there and do this because you're bought and sold. You have a great job in politics. You have an acting career, Danny Glover, and the other persons that talked about reparations. You guys go out there and tell them they don't need a check. We need to give incentives, governmental incentives that everybody can benefit from. And that's nothing but a black and brown coalition. And it's going to go to the brown people because it's already have. The proof is in the pudding, the writing is on the wall, and the elephant is in the room. This is what already happened to us. It's called benign neglect. But the benign and neglect only happens to the slave descendants. A lot of people don't realize that. We think we are in the masses of people that are not white and lower class white people. No, we're not. Actually, lower skilled and lower class white people actually have more in common with slave descendants than all these other brown groups. Because what they do, a lot of them have access whiteness. And they don't talk about it, and they don't have to. And they look like you, and they pretend to be you so that they won't get interfered in this country. And they know that the laws that surround the slave descendant are things that they can use in order to get